I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your cattle market summary for the week ending March the 25th, brought to you in part by the American Simmental Association, which is the founding member of International Genetic Solutions, a partnership of 12 breed associations representing the largest pool of beef genetic evaluation information in the world. Go to simmental.org. You know, this last week had just a week of correction there. We'd had 4 or 5 weeks of a little rally in the cattle market, both fats and feeders, and on the board and on the cash basis also. But then all of a sudden, and we knew things were getting overbought. We knew this thing was top heavy. It had every sign and not a lot of support to be as high as it was. But boy, it didn't take long for it to take it away. And now we don't really have anything to go on. We don't have a lot of support. The Cattle on Feed report had an awful bearish tone to it, mostly because of the placements, and the placements were so light a year ago, and they just looked huge compared to that small number, up over 10%. But you know, that doesn't hold a lot of weight, but still it's just not a lot of support really to make this cattle market go anymore right now. Of course, everybody's had grass fever, and these stocker cattle and calves have gone up sharply here over the last several weeks, and to a certain extent that's pushed some of the feeders too, especially on those two-weight cattle weighing in the 6s and the low 7s that could either go to the feedlot or be turned out to put some cheap gain on. But you look at the board was closed on Friday for Good Friday there. So Thursday's close on live cattle on the April contract was $135.85, which was down almost $4 for the week. Feeder cattle on the April contract ended at $155.82, which was down $6.37 for the week. Did have some fat cattle trade, and it happened in the meat of the week. They didn't wait till Good Friday or Saturday or maybe Easter Sunday to do it. They did most of the trading on Thursday, but not a whole lot. Through Thursday late there, they only had a little over or just under 40,000 head. Probably not going to be a whole lot more than that, so kind of a lighter trade as the market was down pretty hard, and your packers were really trying to take advantage that the feedlots really didn't want to sell any more than they had to. Things are pretty current right now, and they're cleaned up pretty well. They don't really want to have to puke a whole lot more of them when the market's $3 down on a live basis at 136 for the most part. 218 dressed up in the northern plains, which was $5 lower. Although Nebraska did show some there late at 137. So, maybe just a few sales there, probably not enough to really push that weighted average a whole lot. You look at your slaughter for last week, 547,000 heads, which is not too bad in today's times. It hadn't been that many years ago where every week we'd have over 600,000, but now we're down to 547. Of course, at higher weights, and that was 2,000 more than last week, and 8,000 more than the same week a year ago. The one positive we probably had last week was the cold storage report. The amount of red meat that's stacked up in the freezers, which they have the ability to save up and freeze a lot more of that meat and give it a long shelf life, a lot more than they used to do with the cryovacs now. But the red meat supplies were 3% down than the previous month, and 5% down than the same time the year before. So that was a little bit supportive, and we weren't really ready for that. And the main thing, which was good, was a lot of it was ground beef, hamburger meat, which means that maybe they're not importing quite so much of it as they have been. But probably the thing that hurt the worst was the box beef cutout values on the weekly averages. Your choice was down $5.15 at $226.62. Selects was down $3.81 at $217.80. Your cash feeder cattle were down all week. From the get-go they were down, and just progressively got more and more, especially on true feeder cattle going right into the feedlot. They ended the week probably $5 to $8 lower, and I wouldn't expect for them to be any better early this coming week. Actually, your early week sales have a little bit more lower to go, so that's probably where you're going to go there. Your CME Cash Feeder Cattle Index, of course, they were closed on Friday too, was 162.03, which came out on Thursday. Real-time index on Cattle Market Central never sleeps, and it ended the week at 159.14, so you know that CME Cash Feeder Cattle Index has got some down to go, and your early week sales are probably going to be lower. Maybe not on stocker cattle and calves. They were steady to 5 lower for the most part last week, and guys are still looking for cattle with some compensatory gain, some cattle that got more size than they really do weight, and long stretchy cattle that have pretty well thin flesh condition and empty condition. Some calf weight yearlings or some old crop calves is what everybody's still looking for. And had that big fire out there, and not really in the Flint Hills, really too far south in the Flint Hills. To be honest with you, is actually between the Flint Hills and the Osage is where that big fire took place and burned hundreds of thousands of acres there. The worst part is those guys lost a lot of fence in that, and they lost a lot of their hay stockpiles. Yes, they did lose their grass, but if you're going to have a fire, this is the time to do it. In 3 weeks or a month, it'll be so green and pretty through there you can't believe it, especially if they can get a little bit of moisture. But you know, go up into the Flint Hills. They've been waiting for a calm day to burn their pastures up there, and a lot of them haven't found it yet, and they're wanting to turn cattle out. But you know, burning in this time of year is a pretty common thing out there. You look at individual market at Eastern Missouri Commission Company in Bowling Green, Missouri, which is right on the Illinois line there. At Friday at 1:30 in the afternoon, they had a load of steers weighed 750 pounds at 164, which would be quite a premium to what the index is on the exact weight that what they're looking for, and a big premium to what cattle bring in a lot of places. Check out DV Auction if you haven't bought your bulls yet, if you're going to be needing those. We still got a lot of bull sales and finishing up the big bull sale season right now. Check out on Monday at 6 o'clock Eastern and 5 o'clock Central, where most of you are probably listening to this. Virginia Cattlemen's Association's got a big load lot cattle sale on DV Auction. You can check it out. They're going to have a lot of load lot strings of cattle, and I tell you what, the quality and the health, and those cattle are going to be all straightened up, all long time weaned, had their shots and everything. You know, once in a while they might put two neighbors' cattle together to fill out a straight load, but if you're looking for some cattle to feed, and they've got some cattle and weights to turn out there too. Some hard wintered cattle. If you remember some of the weather they had through there this last winter, probably the hardest place that cattle were wintered this past winter. But check those out at Monday evening at 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Central. And from a home office here in Maysville, Missouri, we'll talk to you on Wednesday.